Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins here. We've got a special report for you today. The public is wondering what's going on above our heads every single day. So we're in Los Angeles and we're reaching out to the public. We're gonna ask them what they think of an incredible video just into Third Phase of Moon, a broad daylight sighting, including Paula Asteria. Recently, she was in New York, visited a museum, and came across some artwork that's astounding. What we're about to show you is quite incredible, so buckle up everybody, let's get to it. Take a look at this.
So I was at the Museum of Modern Art in New York a couple weeks ago, and I came across this drawing in one part of the museum that it was just a small drawing about this big, and it had like a future city with UFOs. It looked like flying around. They looked kind of like flying saucers, but when I looked closer, it looked just like the gimbal video that is broadcasted all over mainstream media right now from the Navy. And there's like these weird cars that have this like steam engine wheel thing going on, like nothing I've ever seen before. And I was just like, wow, who did this? And I looked at the author of it, and it was Frank Lloyd Wright, who just happens to have a house pretty close to me up in the hills. And I've always been fascinated by his architecture because he's just, breaking molds. And what's interesting is that this drawing was actually from like 1934. He made this, which is wild because I mean, that's like right around the time like cars had just started coming out around this time. And it was just unbelievable to me. So I looked into it. Apparently this drawing is called the Broadacre, and he wrote books about this and did designs on this when he was, like I said, in the 30s, which is really interesting because and when you try to look into it, he doesn't really get into the concept of what are these flying things going on over here. But I think it's really fascinating because in my presentation, Solutions for Humanity, I get into the whole concept of space habitats, and I've been doing a lot of research on that. And it's really interesting because with the space habitats, all the concepts that have been created have all been created by sci-fi novelists. And after they were put out, actually people that work for NASA and Blue Origin have actually picked up these concepts and realized they're possible, and they're actually working on them right now. I believe one of them is it's some sort of like an orbital ring design, and actually Jeff Bezos is working on one right now where it has its own self-sustaining environment in it, and he came out about that in, I believe, like 2017. So I think it's really fascinating how these artists, it's like almost like they're getting downloads and tapping into something. It almost seems like Frank Lloyd Wright knew something that even our government supposedly claims that they don't know about right now. I mean, if you take this drawing of what looks like a gimbal and you put it next to the Navy video of the gimbal, it matches up perfectly. So it's like, what did he know? And I think it's really interesting because, at that time he was such a high society person, and he was around a lot of other high society people, obviously. I mean, Nikola Tesla, Einstein, all those figures were alive during that time, and they would have been exhibiting, he would have been exhibiting his architecture work at the World Fair in Chicago at the same times that Nikola Tesla was exhibiting his work and coming out with his work. So I'm sure they probably knew of each other, and I'm wondering if there's some sort of connection there. Maybe they knew something. So not only do we see this gimbal in the drawing by Frank Lloyd Wright, but we also see it in Renaissance paintings from, before the 1800s. One that I can think of in particular is the Madonna and Child with St. John that was painted by Da Vinci. And you see in the background this same gimbal-shaped flying saucer looking thing, and it's behind Madonna and Child, and there's actually someone in the background pointing up at it. And it's like, what are these artists trying to portray here? They obviously knew something was going on, or they knew that they were seeing something in the sky. So to sum this all up, I really feel that there is something to this that these artists are trying to portray. Either they know that there's something up in the skies, and we've known about disclosure much longer than the government is claiming that we have, or They're tapping into something, possibly tapping into the collective consciousness and pulling something out of there. You know, like I was saying with my research into space habitats, you know, it seems these sci-fi writers seem to come up with these concepts long before, you know, the scientists actually realize they're able to work on them and create them. So I think there's definitely something to this, and I find it really fascinating.
So is this simply a coincidence, or is this art piece in relation to the gimbal something that people have known about for quite a long time? Paul Asteria, appreciate your input on this discovery of yours. Now let's get to this. People, the public in Los Angeles are asking every day, what's going on above our heads? Well, we recently received a video from South America. We showed the public and we asked them what they thought of it. Some of their reactions is quite impressive. Take a look at this. Have we ever met before?
We have not.
All right, so what do you make of this? Broad daylight? Ours or worldly?
I mean, I'm always thinking that it's ours first, for sure. The idea that it's, you know, that they're saying that it's something like this hasn't been seen in America makes me think that maybe it would be ours. But then I'd rather believe that they're off-world, for sure.
We ever met before?
No.
So what do you make of that video when you're watching it? Ours or otherworldly?
It looks like a mix somewhere between like the rings on Saturn to like a beehive just like sitting there up in the air. And you know, normally I'd say, oh yeah, someone could probably make a drone out of this, or you know, what have you, but you know, you're listing countries like Haiti, like there's no money there, you know, like, so yeah, that's weird.
So when you look at something like that, if you were out there,
oh, if I was out there,
what would you think?
Well, I'd like to see it move, see how it moves, because really, what makes the UFOs interesting is when the U.S. when the pilots report about them, is they change direction, and they go up, and they go down, and they do all these things. This one is just sort of sitting there.
What is the historic record of UFOs, or what are believed to be UFOs, over, let's say, 200 years? What is it? Do you know?
You tell me.
I'm not the researcher on UFOs. I'd like to know, because if we don't have people in 1860, during the Civil War, seeing mysterious, bizarre objects in the sky, and we're only seeing it in the 20th century, that says it's man-made.
Tell me what your first impression is looking at this video.
Well, the first impression is the shape of the object. It's pretty interesting looking. It's moving. It's moving with the velocity of the camera. So there's some trepidation in the hands of the cameraman, because usually you don't really see things like this, and then you get excited, and so the camera starts to shake. There could be some wind, and the shape is great.
You know what I mean? That's something's coming down to set us straight. Yeah, I wish it wasn't so shaky and it was a little bit clear. It's just so, you know, in the world that we live in now, you just never know if it's, you know, CGI or you know. I mean, could it be clearer than I don't know what I'm looking for there. Yeah, this is interesting. How new is this one?
This came out about a month ago out of South America. You know, it's constant broad daylight sightings over there. And you get these flying saucers in that region, and we're seeing them all the time over there.
Yeah,
but
no
not
doubt.
in America so much. We got the other things, but for some reason, Peru's, Mexico City, and for some reason they're just like, you know, bold and they're, you know, reveal.
Is there any like, do they align with any of sort of like the ancient, you know?
You tell me.
Yeah, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I wish I had a deeper knowledge of it, but there's a sense inside of me for sure that thinks that, you know, we couldn't be the only people, you know, in the universe. You know what I mean? Unless we are the expression of consciousness itself, which if we are, it hasn't come very far, has it?
Do you think the government would tell us if they had this in their possession?
Yeah, no, the government would be hiding. I mean, we don't even know why JFK. We just had Biden tell us that we're not going to figure out. He's not going to release any papers on JFK. So, if we can't figure out why previous people were murdered and for what reasons, then why would they tell us that we have anti-gravity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just doesn't look like anything. It looks like something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the guy, but the guy that used to work on the anti-gravity stuff for the government, the way he was describing stuff, it kind of reminds me. Yeah, Lazar. Yeah, it reminds me of something that he would talk about almost. You know?
Yeah, Bob Lazar called it the sports model.
Yeah. I mean, and it does. It looks sportier. But
that would be the purpose for it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, hard to say if it's otherworldly, but could definitely be. I mean, why not, right? Same time, if it's U.S. government or something like that, or Russian or Chinese, like I think it's a good part of the country or the world for them to be in, because around here everyone's got phones. If you don't want a ton of video of your top secret stuff, why not have it down there? But yeah, it's something else. It could definitely be something checking out, that part of the world, but why that part of the world, who knows?
Well, recently there was that gimbal footage that the pilots were engaging, and it looked similar to this, but in this situation it's stationary.
Yeah.
My question is, what we have these broad daylight sightings in that
Yeah,
region,
yeah.
but not so much in America. Do you think there's a reason behind that?
Well, I thought there would. I thought they had a lot of sightings in America.
Not in this shape and form.
No, I've never seen this shape at all. So I don't know. I really have no thoughts about it. They've been telling us for years that there are other Earth-like planets, but they've been telling me that for 50 years. Come on, where are they? Yeah. And I don't see them. They keep saying, well, there are all these Earth-like planets. There has to be. I don't think there does have to be. I don't think there are. They may be people from outer space. I have no idea. I hate to say it, but I really don't care. If they are from outer space, great. If they're not, great. And if they are from outer space, I'd like to go for a ride.
If UFOs are only since we've had the technology to fly, doesn't that indicate to you that they're not extraterrestrial? Really? There's no other logical explanation, but I'd have to have the data. We haven't been seeing these before technology. They are man-made. Someone's making them.
Why don't we see like this over America so much in this region of the world that we decided to see more prevalent?
Which area of the world?
This is in South America.
Oh, South America. They probably don't have so much interest by the government to stop these things. They just let it happen, like their culture is more free and open. But they're militaristic, but their people, they're quiet about it. They're still going, what? They're still a little behind American industrialism, and the benefits of television is education. So they're saying, the words haven't gone around yet for them.
So
all
do you
the
think
lingo.
This is one of ours, or a prank, a hoax?
It could be anything, really. But I'd like to look at it more because I'm interested in it.
The phenomenon. When we ask the public what they think, sometimes the reaction is quite priceless. It's our pleasure to bring you the UFO sightings on a daily basis, and we've got more coming soon, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when we post. We're going to be crossing the country once again, bringing you the evidence, so keep your eyes on the skies, everybody. Blake Cousins. We'll see you next time.
Let's just go down the rabbit hole here for a second. Let's just assume this is some sort of adversarial or foreign technology.
the more than 120 incidents over the past 2 decades are not from the U.S. military or other advanced U.S. government technology.
It's right in front of me, it just disappears. Disappears. Like gone.
To be clear, he's referring to this giant object as a tic tac, as he said it was shaped like one.
The situation we're in, that we don't know what these things are, and they might even be extraterrestrial, that's worse.